This video is brought to you by my Patreon patrons, with an extra special thank you to Andreas Evans, Danny, Exceedingly Lizzie, Kaya, LL Milktray, Michelle, and Richard Lawson.
You are probably going to be a very successful computer person. You're going to go through life thinking that girls don't like you because you're a nerd. And I want you to know from the bottom of my heart that that won't be true.
I just want to drop the mic like Erica Albright. I mean, God, who among us has not seen this date happening? Truly, who among us has not been on this date? And who among us has not followed up this date with 2 to 6 more dates? Because this date doesn't feel like this date in the moment. It doesn't feel like you're 2 cracks away from throwing your beer in the face of the man who will one day stand idly by while a foreign government uses his multi-billion-dollar website to interfere with a presidential election. It feels like you're lonely and horny, and he's obviously smart, and he's cute in that floppy sort of way, and how many of your Tinder matches ever actually message back, much less show up for a date, much less a 3rd date? And even your baby sister's engaged, for crying out loud. How many more Thanksgiving dinners can you really survive feeling like an odd-numbered wheel in your own family? Oh god, oh god, oh god, I'm smart. I know I'm smart. He's smarter than me. What do I need to say to make sure he knows I'm smart enough to date him? If even this asshole ghosts me, I'm going to well and truly lose my entire shit. Please like me, please like me, please like me, please like me, please like me. Boo. But not Erica Albright. No, she reads those 3 to 6 bright traffic light red flags before the basket of onion rings has even hit the table loud and clear. And she says, no, I do not fuck with that. Nor do I fuck with extending common courtesy to that. No, I call him precisely like I see him, and I fucking see him. And not only am I getting the hell out of here, I am taking you down. I am looking at you right in your goddamn soul and telling you exactly what you secretly know deep down is true and are afraid to hear and will haunt you for the rest of your natural life. And we, the chronic daters of assholes, stood up and cheered with one voice, yes, this woman does speak for me. Yea, she speaketh for all of us. The morning after getting dumped, I woke up at 7:45 a.m. and ate breakfast with my now ex and our coworkers. Well, no, he wasn't my ex, and he didn't dump me because we'd never dated. No, I just very intentionally offered my shoulder for crying on purposes the minute his blog hinted that his girlfriend might not be that anymore. But if I'd wanted to date him, I would have had to feel weird about hooking up whenever we were in the same state and sexting in public and sending each other lovingly crafted mixed CDs in the mail. If I'd wanted to date him, I would have had to be concerned about how much of all that we were doing without revisiting the conversation we'd had in the middle of the first time it happened, where we both agreed that we weren't looking for anything serious. No, this was all fine and good. I didn't want anything serious. We were definitely on the same page. And so really, I had no right to be upset that he didn't want to hook up anymore now that we were actually living in the same county. If I was overly emotionally invested, that was a me problem. And truly, I was fine. And we had a whole summer of working 18-hour days together and basically living together stretching out ahead of us, and that was going to be miserable if I was upset about it. So really, truly, honestly, I was fine. It wasn't that big a deal. It wasn't like we dated. 4 years later, he texted me a picture. He'd been cleaning out some old stuff and found this. How fun. He texted me a picture of one of the track lists I'd handwritten and covered in perfectly curated doodles, knowing this was the one that would finally woo him all the way into my life. He texted me a picture out of the blue on a Friday night like it was nothing, just a silly memento he'd found in a box somewhere, and why shouldn't it be? It's not like we ever dated. 2 years later, when we were living in the same city, he hosted a dinner party with our mutual friends, and I knew. I knew right when I walked in the door, with the soft lighting and the low-slung sectional sofa and the bare feet on the plush carpet and his stupid fucking record player. I knew hours before the rest of our friends announced that they were tuckered out and heading home, but what about him? Well, it was still Friday night, wasn't it? I knew before he asked if I wanted to stay for one more drink. I knew. I fucking knew that I should run, but I stayed. And he spun records and chuckled just loud enough in case I didn't notice a track that meant personal history, but I noticed, and I stayed, and I drank grapefruit White Claw spiked with tequila, and he still had this track list, and I stayed. But I won. I fucking won. Because we never dated, and this time when he ghosted me, I didn't care. It was a real surprise to me the first time I found out that Aaron Sorkin's dialogue is generally considered to be difficult to perform. I've done one Sorkin play, The Farnsworth Invention. It's pretty much literally The Social Network, but during Prohibition, and it's about the television instead of Facebook, and it stars a big ol' softy instead of a grade-A asshole, and getting handed that set of sides, reading that quippy, speed-of-thought wit was like sight-singing. It was like trying on the traveling pants after a whole day of muffin tops. I went into the audition with basically zero knowledge of the play or hope of being cast. I'd never worked with the company or met the director. I just saw the notice, and the rehearsal schedule happened to fit into a tiny and specific gap in my calendar, and I figured it was worth the low-stakes shot. But I knew the second I got to say those words out loud that I'd accept any role I was offered with no further questions. Because from an actor's perspective, Sorkin has less in common with his contemporaries than with Shakespeare. Which isn't to say that Sorkin is the light of a generation any more or less than any other great screenwriter. Honestly, I mean, plenty of other people are going to continue making that argument, and that's fine, but it's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that acting Sorkin uses less of the skills you'd use for most modern plays, screen or otherwise, and more of the skills you'd use for classical text, Shakespeare specifically. Its character, its story, of course, but first and foremost, its music. The Elizabethans didn't go to see a play, they went to hear a play, and you don't see Sorkin. For better or worse, you hear him. For the record, I played a secretary named Betty, whose lines were all slight variations on "yes sir," "no sir," "but sir," "right away sir," and I was word perfect every night. That's not me being facetious, it was genuinely difficult and I was honestly proud of it. Still am, but also maybe just a little facetious. That language, that music, is speaking to you on a level beyond real human interaction. It's dialogue that scores itself. It's red velvet curtains and licos and sequins and tap dancing, but like secretly so. It's a feather duster reaching in and tickling the lobes of your brain. It's like drugs. Real life can't compete with it, but it's just close enough that it makes you think it doesn't have to.
I wanted to say to Mark Zuckerberg tonight, if you're watching, Rooney Mara's character makes a prediction at the beginning of the movie. She was wrong.
We spent $1 million harvesting tens of millions of Facebook profiles.
You turned out to be a great entrepreneur, a visionary, and an incredible altruist.
And people had no idea that their data was being taken in this way.
No.
And I want to thank all the female nominees tonight for helping demonstrate to my young daughter that elite is not a bad word, it's an aspirational one. Honey, look around. Smart girls have more fun, and you're one of them. I love you. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it.
Aaron, sweetie, honey, darling, what, and I say this with love, the actual fuck? The morning after getting dumped, I learned to cut my own hair. But no, I didn't get dumped. It's not like we'd been dating. We'd just been texting each other just to say hi and how we missed each other and cared about each other on a regular basis and flying across the country to visit each other, and I'd just decided to move to his city and been honest with myself and with him that he was not the only reason, but he was definitely a reason, and he'd just been like, awesome, I'm glad you like me that much and I can't wait to see more of you, but I never told him that I wanted to date him. So it was really on me when, after like 3 months of living in the same city and doing everything that people who are dating do, he told me that no, he didn't want to be in a relationship, he just wanted to like keep fucking once a week minimum and talking about our feelings all the time and calling each other first whenever we scored last minute tickets to something fun and introducing each other to our friends with a secret little wink that meant we knew each other better than anyone else in the world, but not like in a dating way. No, yeah, that made perfect sense. It's not like he was dumping me. It was fine. I mean, this was 95% of what I wanted. And if all I was compromising on was calling him my boyfriend and maybe getting married someday way down the line, that was fine. Who cares about labels anyway? The wedding industrial complex is the real villain in all of this. That and all of these split ends. When did my hair get so long? And when did I get all of these split ends? This is a really weird city to get a haircut in anyway. Like, your two options are some kind of really hip salon with just a pretzel or something painted on the window, where a shampoo and a cut costs like $250, or great clips. There's literally nothing in between. Cutting my own hair was genuinely a really valuable skill to pick up so soon after moving, so who's the real winner here? Who even is Erica Albright anyway? I mean, I know she dated and dumped Mark Zuckerberg and stuck to her guns about not wanting to talk to him again. I know she's smart, but not as smart as him. I know she made a Facebook profile and what display picture she chose. I know she has friends, and I know her bra size for some reason. I know she went to BU, but I don't know what her major was, or if she transferred or graduated or did a semester abroad. I don't know what she likes to eat for breakfast, or whether she'd pick dogs or cats, or how her taste in beer evolved after graduation. I don't know if she ever got a tattoo, or her stance on Marvel as cinema, or whether she's the type of person who'd go to Burning Man or not. I don't know if she knew it was her nightmare ex on that masthead, if she bragged about it or kept it mostly a secret but would spill after a few drinks, or never told anyone who didn't already know. I don't even know what book she went home to read on the night she dumped the bastard, or what she did the next morning. All I know, really, is that she won an unwinnable argument against Mark Zuckerberg and made him salty enough to do something amazing. I don't know what amazing things she did. The morning after dumping my no-good whole man disposal fodder, I texted my less shitty ex. Well, no, it wasn't the morning after, really. It's just that the whole affair lasted until 4 a.m., so it was the morning when I sent that text from the lift home. And no, I didn't dump this new guy either, and not just because we weren't dating. Sorry. Let me start at the beginning. We worked together. A shitty restaurant job where having someone to flirt with on the clock was pretty much the only thing that kept me going, even if those flirtations didn't usually go anywhere. And he bailed last second on enough of my attempts to make plans that I had pretty much accepted that this would be no different, although in retrospect it feels like a deliberate power play. Hindsight, huh? He did eventually follow through on inviting me over to the 2-bedroom apartment he shared with 3 other people, the only place we'd ever go on to hang out, despite my protests that I had a private bedroom at my disposal and a full-size bed with a box spring and everything. And he poured me and his roommates whiskey and Dr. Peppers until the sun came up. Somewhere around 8 a.m., he dragged me into his bathroom with the light turned off and made this whole big deal of how he was bad news, and he had to tell me something I wouldn't like about him, and whispered in circles like that for 5 minutes straight. I honestly thought he was going to say that he had a felony conviction or a secret family or something, but this big secret was that he was in an open relationship with someone else, so no matter what I might suspect based on the evolving location of his hands on my body, we couldn't, date. Really. Lucky for him, I hated myself, and the emotional equivalent of a whole party-sized bag of Cheeto Puffs and a fifth of tequila for breakfast was exactly what I was looking for. Until he tried to surprise me into a threesome on the night he got evicted from his apartment. Erica Albright probably would have cut and run the second she found out what exactly a really rough day meant, but I stuck around, throwing back drinks at his kitchen bar while his friend he'd told me was coming over that night, who he thought I'd changed out of her skin-tight lace dress and into his pajamas, and his roommates came home one by one to find the notice he'd taped back up on the door for maximum drama, I guess, and he texted me under the table asking what I thought of this other girl because, low-key, she thought I was cute. Staring myself in the bathroom mirror, 3 hours into this fracas, I finally realized I kinda just wanted to fucking die, and that was probably not a good sign. So I sashayed right up to this asshole, plucked the Carmen Sandiego style wide-brimmed fedora right off of his head, and peaced. That's usually where I like to end the story. It makes me sound like a delightfully capricious badass who sometimes makes shitty decisions in pursuit of hedonistic adventure, but ultimately knows her worth and will not stand for your shit. I like being that bitch. But that's not where the story really ends. Somehow, I ended up apologizing to him. To be fair, I had in fact been a mess and not at my best. Gee, wonder why that could be. But I kind of figured this would be a you go first situation where I'd say, hey, sorry for calling your other side chick basic. That wasn't very nice to either of you. And he'd be like, no, please, I'm sorry for setting a threesome like a mousetrap instead of just asking if you'd be into it like an adult. And I'd be like, hey, you were going through some shit. I can cut you some slack. Just let me know what I'm walking into next time, yeah? But instead, he dug in his heels about how he'd told me he was bad news. God, there was such a stigma around being poly. Why did everyone except him have such hang-ups about the whole thing? I gave his hat back. It smelled like his cigarettes. And then I continued to give him rides home from work for weeks. I invited him to my birthday party 3 months later. And not like a cheeky Facebook invite, I talked to him on 3 separate occasions to make sure he had all the details. And I felt kinda hurt when he didn't show up. Why did I fucking do that? The morning after getting dumped, Harley Quinn adopted a hyena, and when the jag running the pet shop tried to pull some shit, she fed his leg to his own wares. I bet that's how she likes to tell it. Queen shit, truly. But that's not the whole story. The Joker was shit news from the start. I mean, this is the cautionary tale. This is the nightmare. He kidnapped and tortured her, and she gave up her illustrious career and jumped into a vat of chemicals for him. He gave her as a present to business associates, drove her off a bridge to let Batman find and arrest her, and she followed him. Anyone who noticed the symptoms of her lethal case of menschenitis back when he was her patient was advising her to get dude reassigned and make it snappy. Any stranger who saw this couple out at a bar was sticking their nose in her business to tell her to dip ASAP. Anyone who knew and gave 1/4 of a shit about her was advising her to sock away some money in a private account, change all her passwords, move any important documents to a safe location, pack a bag, break that lease, and block his ass on all platforms yesterday. But she made him dump her. Made him get his muscle to throw her out of the house, cried and wailed and pounded on the door begging him to take her back. Years later, over a bottle of wine or 3 with her best girls, maybe the other shoe will drop. Something will finally rip wide open deep inside her. She'll shout a lot and stomp around and throw pillows and break glass while her friends cheer her on and raise their cups and hug her and tell her it happens to the best of us and she is the best of us. Pour one out for the years of her life she lost to this personification of the red flag, start seeing a really good therapist and sift through the whole mountain range of trauma. But for now, she's got to slop on the couch, eating junk food, throwing knives at his picture, not doing dishes, and crying. Feelings don't care about your facts, I guess. The morning after getting dumped, I had brunch with my sister. I really truly did get dumped this time, and when you get really truly dumped, you get bottomless coffee and biscuits smothered in apple butter and omelets smothered in hollandaise and a person who loves you unconditionally smothering you in compliments, so you know just how much he didn't deserve you. God, this is so straight. Can you please just talk about my lady ex so people don't think I'm straight? No. He didn't deserve me, though. Or, you know, maybe I didn't deserve him. I'm sure from his perspective that's how it went. Whoever deserved what, we didn't make sense together. It was a showmance that I would have been perfectly happy to let run its course over the run of the show and then slow fade after the cast party, but the first time he came over to my place after curtain call and we made zucchini fried rice and drank a bottle of Oliver Soft Red, which I now regrettably know was his calling card, the first time we kissed as ourselves, he looked me right in the eye and said, "I don't just want your body, I want your heart." Deadass, I'm not making that shit up. He said those exact words, date 1. Fuck's sake. And then date 3, when we talked a little more about what that meant, and I said I wasn't really sure about being exclusive just yet, he was like, okay, cool, do what you want, but if you date anyone else, I'll be gone. And it took me a whole goddamn year to look at that moment and realize, oh, what he was telling me was that we were exclusive 3 dates in, and I didn't get a say in the matter. But at the time I was like, sure, sounds like a reasonable compromise. Who else would I even date right now? Way to stand up for your boundaries, my man. Jeez. This is not to say a word against showmances in general, for the record. There is literally nothing better in this world than a showmance. Showing up for a table read knowing you're about to meet the person you're going to spend the next 3 months falling in love with once a day is one of the prettiest feelings in the world, and overlapping it with the unmitigated fun of getting to kiss someone you just enjoy kissing on their own merits, and the butterflies in the everywhere of trying to figure out whether they also enjoy kissing you on your own merits without being so overt about it that it'll be uncomfortable for them to keep having to kiss you if they don't is delicious. It is so decadent it should be illegal. And clearly my ex agreed, since he rolled right into another one and he dumped me for her. I didn't know that at the time. I just knew that he'd had a bad case of menschinitis for one cast member, and everything I'd heard about the show from him and everyone else involved in it was how edgy it was for the way they played up the sexual tension between these characters. And then I saw the show and he was kind of just mean to her, so I had my suspicions. But honestly, the show sucked ass anyway. Literally my first thought when he dumped me was, thank God I won't have to pretend that show was good anymore. And at this point, what he told me was that he'd just realized I wasn't the one. Ugh. God. Ew. And I didn't want to change his mind. We really were very poorly suited to one another, and I had honestly realized that already and had decided not to break things off because I was at this point in my life where I hadn't fully processed that I'm allowed to just not date people even if they want to date me, and 3-ish months is a perfectly fine amount of time to spend with someone in order to realize that you don't want to spend any more time with them. No, I was convinced that I was a child who couldn't commit to things, and so I did what I saw as the adult thing, and I didn't dump him. But goddammit, that didn't give him the right to also notice that we were poorly suited to one another and dump me. That was my job. So I gave him what was supposed to be an absolute mic drop, sitting on my couch, 3 feet away from him, having drained 1.75 of the 2 glasses of actual non-Oliver red wine I'd poured for us before he got there. I spat at him. You're gonna die alone. You know that? And this little fuck had the nerve to look right back at me and say, yeah, you're right, I probably will. Is there anything in the world worse than that. He didn't, by the way. He married her last year. At least he had the good manners not to dump me over anything less than true love, right? But really, I wasn't trying to say that he'd die alone. Yeah, in that moment, I really did hope he would. But what I was trying to say was, he was the one who had insisted on a committed relationship from minute one, had basically decided we were in one without ever actually asking me. And then he was the one who ran for the hills the second another pretty brunette made eyes at him in rehearsal. And that's just like, that's like 4th grade playground shit. If I'd had my way, we would have kept things casual for long enough to realize that we didn't like each other that much when we were out of character, and he wouldn't have had to pretend like he thought I was his soulmate just because we had fun kissing on stage, and I wouldn't have had to fucking care if he wanted to bang someone else. Or at least not that much, and not because he told me to care. I wanted him to quit being so damn smug about this shit and talking about it like we were star-crossed, like it was out of his hands, and look me in the eyes on my face and tell me with the mouth on his face that he had insisted on assuming a duty of care to my feelings, and he had botched it, and that was shitty of him, and he was sorry. If he'd done that, if I'd been able to say what I actually meant, and he'd been able to give me the apology I actually wanted right there and then, in that moment, would I have felt any better? Would I still have lost my shit for a whole week when I saw his relationship status change on Facebook a few months later? Would I still have needed to recruit friends to drive with me anytime I thought I might see him around so I wouldn't have to risk being alone in a room with him? Would I still have felt like puking when a mutual friend casually mentioned the impending wedding over pizza? Would we have exchanged anything more than one brief moment of accidental eye contact, pointedly, wordlessly broken when we ended up at the same post-show drinks affair 4 years after our 3-month trash fire of a relationship? Maybe. Or maybe short relationships with people you know aren't great for you are just as subject to illogical feelings as any others, and how they end still pales in comparison to that they end. I don't know. What I do know is, since finally putting words to what I wish I could have said, what I wish he'd said back, I've lost any and all desire to hear him say it. Closure is a thing you make for yourself. The morning after Harley Quinn dumped the Joker, she ate a breakfast sandwich. Well, she didn't actually eat the sandwich, it ended up splat on the asphalt. What a damn shame. And she didn't dump him exactly, he had dumped her first. It was a symbolic dumping, but symbolic does not mean fake, my friend. A chemical plant doesn't need Aaron Sorkin to write it into stunned silence when a semi-truck crashes into it. It's not gonna talk back. It can't say the one thing it's not supposed to say. It's not gonna make you feel any smaller than you already objectively are. It can't get you back under its thumb. It is not going to hurt you anymore. It will give you all the closure you need up in flames behind you as you walk away, half-shod in slow motion as the titles roll on a movie that is finally all about you.